What's up guys? Now who would win a heads-up poker battle between a Zen monk and a tilt monster? Bit of a strange question, right? We're going to dive into that today and it'll all become clear as we go on with this video. Now if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Now today's video is inspired by the book The Poker Hero. Hopefully you guys can see that on my cracked iPad. This was recommended in one of my YouTube comments, so thank you for the recommendation. Now this book, the first chapter, starts really good with the chapter called The Zen Monk versus the Tilt Monster, and it talks about the story of two opposing poker players with two different philosophies and the outcomes that leads in their poker career. So I'm going to share that with you today. I'm going to show you how it works and some learner models and how you can learn some good lessons from this in order to improve your poker mindset and how you learn at poker. So the first person they talk about is player A called Tony, and Tony's playing some poker and he's losing. He's losing quite badly. He loses 5 buy-ins to a regular at the games he's playing. Now he's getting a bit annoyed and he decides to quit the games he's playing and play a weaker opponent. This aggressive style he's up against is causing problems, so he decides to play a more passive opponent to build back confidence. Things still don't go his way, ends up having a losing afternoon, losing morning, decides to quit his session, go and do some meditation, have a break, and keep himself very calm, very centered. At no point does he lose his emotional control, stays calm, playing his A game, playing focused most of the day. Wasn't a good day for him, but he just got on with it, clocked in his hours, and then clocked off and went on his business. So that's Tony, player A, the Zen monk. Then we've got Mike, who's a bit more emotional. So he has a very similar day. Sits down to play, things aren't going his way. And he's getting beat up really hard by one of the regulars. He's getting angry, he's starting to tilt, he's getting frustrated, and he finally hits a point where he's like, enough's enough, and he quits in a bit of a rage. Now instead of having a break, he decides to run through every single spot that he's played. Every spot that's over 10 big blinds, he's looking through how he played it, what mistakes he made. He's coming up with strategies that might help him in the future. He's writing down things that went wrong, and he writes down a big action list of what he would do in the future. But he's really angry, he's tilting like crazy, and he's super annoyed at himself for being stupid. And he's writing down things like, you idiot, why did you play this way? You should have done this instead. Why did you do that? You should have done this instead. And he's writing down, he's on a rage, and he's about 5-6 hours have passed before he sits down and plays his afternoon session, and on it goes. Again, afternoon session doesn't go well, he loses a few more buy-ins, quits for the day, and then goes to bed. Now, both players approach their life and poker very much the same way. Who's your money on? Which one's got the best approach? Which one's got the best philosophy? And now, it's super interesting. I'm going to take you to the whiteboard now to explain which one might shock a few of you and why it works with some learner models that are really, really beneficial to poker players. So if you're like most people, you probably think that Tony has the best approach to poker. His Zen philosophy, staying calm, always in control of his emotions, is going to beat Mike, who's always getting emotional, tilting and stressing. However, what if I told you Tony was a break-even player and Mike crushes the games? Would you be surprised? This is why. So, in order to get good at poker, it's not enough just to be calm, centered, and always in control of your emotions. You've got to, over anything else, be learning. You've got to have consistent learning loops. So in the book, The Poker Hero, he talks about fulfilling learning loops. And the reason Mike is a better player than Tony is because he creates more opportunities to learn, and every day he's getting better, and his growth curve's much, much faster, which makes him a much better player. So this is how the learning loop works. So the first step is performance. All right? So this is your actual grinding session, right? So both Tony and Mike put in their grinding performance. Now, that in itself is just data, it's feedback. How do you learn from your performance? The first thing you've got to do, which Tony doesn't do, because Tony goes to meditate, he chills, he relaxes, he didn't review his performance. He didn't review his performance. So what did he do? He's missed an opportunity to learn. Tony, being all zen, being all chilled out, has missed his learning opportunity from that session. Things didn't go well in the morning. Why? Tony doesn't know. Tony doesn't know what went wrong that session. He never reviewed the session, never reflected, just kept himself really centered, really chilled. He never improved. Mike blew his shit, but the emotional response wasn't that good, but it led him to go into a path of self-improvement and ask questions. What did I do wrong? How can I get better? So he reviewed his play. What mistakes did I make? Why was I such an idiot? I did this wrong. He then decided on some things he would do differently. So he decided on his adaptation. And he wrote down 3 to 5 things that he was going to do next time he played. Next time he played, he instilled those new approaches, which led to new learning. even if not immediately, at least through an improved performance. So this is a fulfilled the learning loop. He had a performance, reviewed it, adapted his strategy, learned from the experience, and performed hopefully better going forward. And that process is the holy grail. You need that performance kind of loop going round. So there's a quote by Vince Lombardi which says, good losers usually lose. And the reason for this means if you're too good at losing, you take it too well, you don't put in the work to get better. So obviously it's great to stay in control of your emotions, but the most important thing is win, lose or draw, every session you learn from it. Every session you get better. So in this analogy, the tilt monster becomes a better poker player than the Zen monk because he's fulfilling more learning loops. He's reviewing, he's adapting, he's improving. Even though he's stressed, even though he's got a high emotional response, his skill level is improving every single day because of that process. So, which one are you? Are you close to the Zen monk or are you close to the tilt monster? And the most important thing is not the emotions in this instance, it's the process. Are you reviewing performance? Are you adapting? And are you learning? Every single performance, every single time you play poker, you've got to be using that as an opportunity to learn. The playing itself is just one component, the performance. To create a learning loop, you've got to review it. You've got to go, what went well? What didn't go so well? What can I do better in future? Are you doing that every session you play it? Can you honestly say that you're on a big learning loop every single time you play? Or sometimes you walk away from the table just going, session done. You've got to use every opportunity as a time to grow. So hope this surprised for you guys with the Zen monk versus the tilt monster. It shocked me a little bit when I was reading it. I assumed that the Zen monk was going to have the edge, but as soon as you went for the learning model, I was like, totally get it now. And hope this has highlighted to you the importance of having that consistent learning and reviewing and getting better and adapting. No matter what your emotional responses are, can you use that poker session as a catalyst to get better? If you've got negative emotions, can those negative emotions spark a study session? If they can, awesome. That's great. Often in life, we try to get rid of negative emotions rather than letting that negative emotion drive us in a positive direction. So get working on this stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash the like button. Drop in the comments below, are you the Zen monk or the tilt monster? I'd love to know which one you relate to the most. Thanks for watching, guys. There's plenty more coming from me very soon.